Live!
Welcome to another unauthorized and rum-fueled treasure hunt in the sharky waters surrounding Gatsby Islands with Queen Raae.
And
I'm your host, Captain Olavia Jr., and this is the Pirate Princess.
woo! Yay!
Ja, det. Skal du ikke si det? Nei, du kan si det etterpå, du.
I can't use C anymore. Will I have to get in frame? You have to get in frame. Okay, I'm gonna. Oh, Inessa's here.
Hello! Howdy, howdy!
You want to take out the Tasker Beller Taskers? So I wouldn't say we have a tiny task today. I'm sorry. It's going to be quite a large task. So what are we doing today? We are going to use, or we're going to add authentication with NextAuth to our Gatsby site. So NextAuth was originally made for Next, but it works with Gatsby as well. So that's what we're going to do.
Oh,
and
yeah.
why are we going to do it? We're going to do it because my Prune Your Followers app that we'll look at in a little bit of it, in a little second, actually needs access to people's personal Twitter access tokens through the Twitter 2.0 API or 2.0 OAuth, I guess. And with my Supabase implementation, I chose Supabase because it's so easy to get started and they have Twitter authentication, but I couldn't get access to these tokens that I needed, and they're not using OAuth 2.0. So that's what we're going to do today. That's why. And how? Well, let's see, because there's going to be a lot of things. We need to install packages. We need to create serverless functions. There's going to be quite a lot. And so Inessa loves NextAuth. This makes me happy. You might help us then when we're kind of muddling through. So let's start by checking out the app that we're going to be working on.
Yes.
So, oh my God, I'm twitching all over my hair. Okay, so I created this little app that lets you prune your followers. So if we go to the live app, you'll see here that I can have a look at all of my Twitter followers, and I can sort them by different criteria here. So here's my over popular column. So I'm going to start unfollowing some of these because I don't really need them in my life. But I keep hitting with this app, I keep hitting the Twitter API limits, because with my app token, I'm only allowed to do like fetch followers or fetch like anything from their API really about 15 times. No, I don't remember the things, but I'm hitting the limit all the time. So what I want is when I go in here and I load in all of these followers, and when I also want people to be able to unfollow straight from the app, I need access to their personal Twitter access tokens so that I can do things on behalf of them. And then each person will have their own limit on how often they can hit the API, which is, if I remember correctly, it's about the same amount of times like the whole app can do it with like the app token. So that's why we then want to refactor from our Supabase auth to our to NextAuth. And I hadn't really realized how cool NextAuth was. It's been on my list for a long time to have a check on NextAuth, actually made by a guy who lives in Oslo, used to live in Trondheim. Seems that he went to the same university that I went to, so that's kind of cool. But anyway, what I really like about this is that it's open source, full stack, and own your own data. So the implementation we're just going to do the Twitter flow, and we're not going to really save our users anywhere, but you can hook NextAuth into different databases to actually save information about the users using your application. But right now, all we need is for them to log in, and as long as we have information about their session, as long as their session is active, we can do things on behalf of the user. But to be able to keep having these nice little faces here with who is using this application and stuff like that, and be able to contact everyone, then I'll need to save these users to a database as well. But that's for another show. Okay. Whew.
Yes.
That was a long introduction.
That's good.
So let's hit it. So we're going to
Yeah.
just try and make this work with the getting started tutorial. But then also I know, because I spoke to the creator at one point, that like he created this NextAuth Gatsby example. So if something is unclear for us when it comes to Gatsby plus NextAuth, then we'll like have a look at this example. And there are links to all of these things already in the descriptions. I was early today, so check out the descriptions if you are watching this live or if you're watching this in a replay. So, okay, so I already done the yarn add NextAuth because, you know, that takes forever when you're streaming. And then the first thing it asks us to do is to create a file called, you know, square brackets .NextAuth.js.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a catch-all. So we're going to add this as a serverless function in our project, and anything that kind of hits then API auth is gonna be caught by this. And this is obviously the next documentation, but if we head on over to the example here, you'll see that, okay, we need to do API, we need to do a folder called auth, and then inside of there, we need this NextAuth.js file, and then we also need to kind of do a catch-all on this folder, I guess. So let's see if we can make that work. I don't think we need that folder. I think we're going to be fine with just this catch-all, but let's see how it goes.
All right.
All right. So let's just copy. Oh, there's a little copy button. My favorite. So we already have an API folder. So anything that is added to the API folder inside of source in the Gatsby project becomes deployed as a serverless function if your hosting provider support serverless functions. So we'll make a auth folder in there. And then inside the auth folder, we want to make the --next auth JS. So that means that anything that hits auth API /auth/ whatever gets caught by this file. So any route after auth will then be handled by this this file. And we don't want to do GitHub. We want to do Twitter. So I already opened the Twitter configuration here. So we'll do the Twitter provider. And then I also already mentioned that we want to do the OAuth 2.0 version, because that's when we get access to people's personal access tokens, and it's a new flow for how to authenticate. So we want to do this version 2.0. And then it's not GitHub provider, it's Twitter provider. And I'm guessing that's from Twitter then. Okay. So that's this step. Oh, sorry, getting started. Add API route. Yes, we've done that. So all requests to API /auth, then anything will automatically be handled by NextAuth. So that's sign in, callback, and sign out. Because when we do these authentication dances, we like hit sign in with Twitter, we get sent to Twitter, things are happening on Twitter, then we get sent back to our own page, which is the callback URL often, and then stuff needs to happen at the callback, and then you need to be redirected back to the application. So let's not do any further reading. Let's make this a little bit bigger. So then the next thing is to configure a share session state. So for us to be able to kind of let the logged in user know anything about themselves and be able to use this use session, we need to create a session context. And this again is the next example, but for Gatsby, we then need to wrap our whole application with this, and it happens here in the Gatsby browser. So we need to get the session provider, and then we need to wrap root element. In my application, I already have a root element. So we can able to add it to the root element. So let's go back. We'll grab this session provider from Next. And then we need to kind of wrap the whole thing in our session provider. And as you can see here, I'm already using query, React query. Called the React query. It's only called React query. Now it's called TanStack React query. I'm already using that, and I might want to use this session within our React query. So that's why I'm putting the session provider outside of our query client provider, because then I can use that session in my queries later on that we probably won't cover today, but that's why I put it all the way around. Okay. And then in our front end, we can use session to get the user. So let's go to places where we are using the information about the user and use this use session. I think there was a discussion on Twitter. It's like, how are you supposed to say use the hook use session? Because it's like use session. Anyway, we are gonna use session, I guess. And places where we are using it would be in our login button. So here we have data user, we're use user, which we are, it's a hook we've created ourselves, but now we want to use this use session. So it's quite similar. So let's do data. So the data we're getting back is session, and then we're going to use session from NextAuth. So that auto completed pretty nicely. So now we have the session, we don't have the user. So let's see, okay, session user is how we get the user. So if we have a session user, we want to navigate to the app. And if not, yeah, if not, we want to sign in, and we're not going to use Superbase sign in anymore. We're going to sign in with our new sign in function from Superbase. No, from NextAuth, I mean. So we're going to do sign in. Let's see if there's a signed in example here. So it only sends sign in. Let's see how that works. So sign in. Okay. So we have a redirect here. So I kind of already know that I want to redirect somewhere. So let's go and have a look at the documentation for sign in to see if we can find any more information or examples. So we can, okay, so we can already here, because I think with NextAuth, you can add multiple providers. So if you don't give it, like, say here, it says sign in with Google. If you don't say like exactly what you want to sign in with, it will send you to a page where the user can choose between different providers. But since we know we only want to do the Twitter, I'm going to say that we want to sign in with Twitter right away, so it doesn't like have that extra step. And then it says something here. Redirect false, additional parameters. Let's see. Redirect to a sign-in page. Specify callback URL. So yeah, so here we can have a callback URL, which is kind of where I guess that's where you're going to be redirected back to. This works for all providers. The callback URL.
Timur has a comment here. I'm going to put it up. I just need to.
I'm just going to read this. The callback URL specifies to which URL the user will be redirected after signing in. It defaults to the current URL. But in our application, we want to go from the login page, the front page, the marketing page, to the app page. So let's then give that information in.
I will read it now.
Yes.
We can use Puppeteer package to avoid API limits. Bomb, bomb, bomb.
I mean, we could, I guess that would be, you were thinking we would be scraping scraping Twitter instead of using the API. Is that what you mean? Okay, so now we have a sign in, and then we also have a sign out, but let's see if our sign in works first, because that's what's most fun. And then I also used to use user somewhere else. Let's see. I think I use it in the app page. Let's see. I have a fetching overlay. I have a header here. Class name, children. No. Because I say like, hello, you are the person you are. So fetching overlay, header. No, here, the hero, I guess. So here I also use the user. So let's use session here instead. So we can give out the information about the user. We're going to use session instead. And then it was session. And then the user would be session. If there's a session, user. So we're with these little question marks here, we are saying like if there is no session, then don't go any further. And on username, we're saying like if there is no user, then don't go any further. Okay, so let's see if this works. I mean, if this works, I'm pretty proud.
Yes.
So let's do a refresh just in case. And then at least this will be, oh, it does not work. So here already we are seeing that, okay, session, there is no session. So we need to make sure that we are actually doing that. And I never remember what that's called, but we put that little question mark after it so that we know what's happening. We know it's there. So let's do session question marks. If there is no session, then this will be false. Okay, let's try again. Okay. Error executing function, prune your follow source API auth. Request is not defined.
Oh, one more comment.
Yes.
Yes, Twitter scraping. I used Puppeteer package on Twitter before and it works.
Yes. So that can work pretty well for scraping followers, I would guess, because you could just go into the following list and start scraping. But it wouldn't probably work for unfollowing people by clicking somewhere in my app.
But
in the app.
But it's a good idea, but we're not doing it. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I might actually, for a talk in November, when I'm doing the keep calm and code your own Gatsby plugin, we might be using scraping. Bea, who's been on the show, which is a way to scrape in an easier way. We might use scraping Bea to scrape some tweets so we don't have to bother with Twitter tokens.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see if we can figure out what's wrong here. Because I did test this time, so we are gonna have a little bit of a look. So something is wrong on this page. Let's go and have a look at this NextAuth example so that we are sure that we're doing it correctly for Gatsby and not only Next.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I can see here that this is a little bit different than our example. So if we go back to getting started, adding API routes, this was all that we needed to make it work. While in this example, they're doing the configuration outside, but that's okay. We can still do it inside. And then they're doing some magic here on the query because probably Gatsby kind of handles or sends in a little bit of a different API than Next. So we don't have this part. So let's see if we can change that.
Yes.
So let's do all of this. Yeah. So we just copy pasted the next example and it's not the same signature. So we're going to export
optional chaining operator.
Yes, optional chaining operator. Yes, Inessa, very good.
Very good. Yeah.
You are working with other people, I guess, and that's why, and that's when you learn all the names. Anyway, so we just copy pasted this. So it's doing some magic. It's destructuring our query. Then it's kind of restructuring our query so that it's on the signature that NextAuth expects. And then it returns await NextAuth. And then our auth config. Where is it getting auth config from? It's getting that from a file that it's put into the root system here. And that seems pretty similar to the one we have. So it's auth const config. Yeah. So that's the one here. But they're calling it auth config there and auth options here. So it's called auth config, but then inside of the serverless function, that's imported as auth config, and that's what's used there. So let's rename our const up here, auth config. Okay, let's see if this works. Let's try again. Okay. Nope. See, this is when I would want to make sure that it's request is not defined. Request. Let's do a rebuild just in case. Don't we have, this is pretty much what we have. NextAuth.
I'm just going to burn a little bit here. Just going to make some fire.
What? You're going to burn?
Yeah, don't worry.
Okay.
Don't worry, be happy.
NextAuth. Let's see. Okay. But let's have a look at the one that's inside of this folder. How does that look? Oh, maybe we need that as well. From Gatsby currently doing does not support catch-all routes. Okay. But I'm pretty sure that's how I did it when I was testing it out with just the with just this one. But let's see how we are going now. Are we building? Go to app. Okay, so let's try again then. So we have source API auth, NextAuth. So it's auth error. So let's try to make this catch all as well. So new folder, next auth. Let's see how that's done. Auth, so there's a next auth. And then inside there, there's a provider. He calls it provider. New file, provider.js. And then inside the provider, it's just importing the same thing as above. Oh, whoa. Is all of this okay? Okay. Let's try again. If somebody sees any glaring errors, let me know. Because I did error executing function, request is not defined. Are we even getting in here? I guess we are, otherwise we wouldn't have gotten that error. Auth error. Auth. So error when executing, let's see what this says. Request is not defined. So the error is actually there in this place. Okay, I have a PR. I'm just going to make sure that I copy paste correctly. Ooh. Oh boy. Why is this not working? Because it was working. It was working when I tested it out. Okay, so let's see. Twitter client ID, yes. Twitter client secret, yes. Version, Twitter provider, theme. Okay. But in the code that I tested with, that I thought I copy pasted from their example, there are some other things going on. Okay. See if we can figure this out. When is this code from? It's from February. And where did I find the code that I found? Because the code that I found does not look like what we had there. It looks like this. So it does params NextAuth split on the slash. And it does not what was in the example. So I can't remember where I found this. I probably hit the same error and then I found that this was the solution. Because I'm pretty sure I don't have. Okay, let's see if it works then. API auth. What happens? Quest is not. I do not get this.
What's up?
What's up? I don't know. It's not working, and I got it working in the PR that I created a week ago. It's working, and in this one, it's not working.
Okay.
So let's see. NextAuth.
Should I make some elevator music?
Make some elevator music.
Yesterday we went to the pet store to find a piratey pet for the pirate princess. And ja, Lillian, har du lyst til å komme og si hvilke dyr det er du vil ha?
Or maybe you want to have a look at what I'm doing while they're talking to see what's happening.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure.
Degus eller deg?
Ok, du må snakke inn i mikrofonen.
Degus?
Ja.
Degus!
Ikke snakke høyt, rolig.
Degus!
Ja.
Degus.
Lillian found a kind of rat. It's a kind of rat.
Degus.
Det er en rotte. Nei, er det det?
Degus.
Hva gjorde de da?
Løpe.
Yeah. They were running around. And they also climbed on me. I put my hand like that, and they came out like this. Climbed on my hand like that, and up here. Yeah. Not into my mouth, but you know. Could it be in the end keys, says Inessa.
I don't think so, because I'm using the same end keys. But...
Og hvor mange var det da, Lillian? Vis med fingrene. Det var to stykker. Two sisters. There were two sisters. They were living in the same cage. Ha det. Yeah, she's done telling you about the animal. So
I am checking out the end keys. That's why you're not seeing my screen right now, because...
Yeah, so we haven't decided yet on it, because there are several dramatic problems with these animals here, the Degus animals. They are very long-lived. Oh, from a Google search, Node 18.
Ah.
Very
Yes.
good tip. Google search, very good.
Am I not? Because so
It's very
should I
good.
use Google? Should I use 18 or not use 18?
Yeah, good question. I don't know.
Well, I kind of wasn't asking you. I was asking Inessa.
I know. So how are you doing there over in Canada, Inessa? Is it good there at something bits, tiny bits? Bitey bits? What is it? Let's see here on Twitter. It says on Twitter. Hey, I had Twitter here. You can try. She says try it.
Yeah,
You can
I
try
think
it.
maybe I think you're onto something there because I was using 18 and then something went wrong when I was installing something and I was like, okay, I'm not going to use 18. I'm going to use 16. So maybe that's the problem, as you said.
It was relevant bits. Relevant bits. What is
Okay.
it? What is it?
This is turning out to be a fun stream. What happens last time? Everything was just like boom, boom, boom. And I even, I had a PR going for this. So I was going to make sure that we could do it. But, live debugging is also interesting. And also preparing too early because I did this a couple of weeks ago. So I don't remember, I probably ran into this issue and I forgot.
Yeah.
that was in one ear and out the other, or in one and out the other. Okay. We are trying to use 18 now, and then we'll see if that helps out.
Yes.
But I'm also wondering how I figured out that I could use this, like why my NextAuth is a little bit different than the one in the example. That's also interesting. How I kind of came to use. Oh, have I been having this smallest font?
What is different?
Realized to use this one.
That looks very much like the Gatsby function thing.
We're saying here that the request query should have a NextAuth, and there's like a split here on the params. But in the example that they have here, I guess it's probably this, because here it does something different. It destructures the query and then it restructures the query. And I don't exactly remember where I got this from that I think worked on my other. Let's see now if we can make this work. It'll make for an interesting email tomorrow, though, if I figure out what was wrong so that we can... Oh, thank you, Inessa. Yes.
It was the 18 thing.
It was the 18 thing. I think so. And also, what happens if we use this one? Okay, let's finish it up at least. So,
yeah.
Let's go. Oh, I don't know what's up now.
Inessa says, hooray, but it's not.
Hooray. Okay, so we've signed in and things are happening down here. Query is trying to do a lot of things. So let's go out again. So let's just work on this page here first. Look at that. It's working, but we have a little bit of an error. So it was 18. So I have NVM installed. So I just did NVM use 18, and now we're back because I was using 18 because of Supabase. I was making sure that I was using 18 for something. So that's why I was on 18 when I was working on this last time. And then now I was on 16. So let's head back. We are having some issues in our hero component where we are using the information. We're using the user and we're asking for user metadata username, which I'm guessing is something that is very particular to Supabase. So let's just start with having an empty username, and then let's console log the user that we get back from NextAuth. And I think it's gone now that we have a session. It's going to know that we have a session.
Yeah.
So let's go to app. And here you go. This is the information we have about the user. We have the name and we have the image. So let's then do, so we don't have the, looks like we don't have the kind of the username. We have the actual name. So let's start by using that then. So then we have user, and then let's do name. And then it says, hey, let's prune your follows at Benedicta Raae. So that doesn't really work now that we have name and not the, so let's just remove the at for now, just to make it work. So that's kind of cool. But what we really want to do is that we want to authenticate the our serverless function requests, you know?
Yes.
So let's go over to our documentation again and see if we can make that work. So here we have backend. So to protect an API route, you can use the unstable get server method. So let's just copy paste this and create a test. Create a test serverless function.
Yes.
And then let's see if our signature is correct. Export default async. That should be correct. The function I usually have export default function handler is how I usually like to do it. So let's do that. And then we can use so you can see here unstable get service session. So this is probably something that is quite new from NextAuth. So that means that we have to not get mad if the signature for this function changes. So if what is required here changes, we don't want to be get mad because they told us it's unstable, but you can start using it. And then we have to make sure that our auth options are correct. And it's trying to get that from auth and then __ NextAuth, which we have here. And I think we now call it auth config. So let's do auth config. And then this is protected content. You can access the content before you're signed in. You must be signed in to view the protected content on this page. So let's have a look and see if we can just call that directly. So let's call API test.
Yes.
And there we say auth config is not defined. Oh boy. Oh boy. We didn't import it. It's wrong. This is protected content. You have access to this content because you are signed in. Yes. But then if we create our sign out function, we should not be able to have a look at that anymore. So let's go to app and then make sure that we get a sign out button here instead. So I already have a log out button. And then what are you saying? Why are you laughing?
Woohoo!
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 So now we want to sign out. So on the sign out, just let's sign out. And after we've signed out, we want to redirect somewhere then as well. And we want to redirect back to kind of the front page. So our callback URL then should be the window location origin. So in our logout button, our redirect is the app. And then in our log out button, our redirect should be the front page or the marketing page. Let's do redirect to. And then we have to make sure that we do the correct header. It's annoying having to just go back to your own code. It's like, what did I think when I made this logout? Where am I using this? So in my app here, I have import logout button. Logout button. Okay, so that should be, is not defined. Blah de blah. Blah de blah. Okay. Sign out. There from We don't need super base anymore.
Okay.
Better. Imports correct. Okay. So now we have a sign out button. Let's see if we manage to sign out properly. And if we hit API test now, it should tell us you must be signed in to view the protected content on this page.
Yeah.
And this is, yes, and this is because NextAuth is using kind of the session storage. So as long as we are within the same session, or session cookies, I mean, so as long as we're within the same session, everything will work on both the front end and the back end. But what do we actually want to do in our test function here? Like later on, we want to, populate following. We want to do a lot of things with and add things to our database. So we want to make sure that these people are logged in. And that's what we are when we do this section. Yes, you are logged in. But what do I need to do here? I need to have access to their access token from Twitter so that I can do things on behalf of them. And that took a while to figure out how to do. Let's see if we can find the documentation for that. So what we need to do is that we need in some way, we need to kind of like add some information onto our session. And I think guides, full stack maybe, refresh token location, no. Using the email, adding role-based login, no. I have kind of the solution, but we need to figure out how to do this. So what I want is I want that access token that they get when they log in.
Yes.
And I want that to be added to the session in some way. Session callbacks. Okay. Session callbacks are called whenever session is checked. Using session. Send properties to the client like an access token from a provider. That's exactly what we want to do. So to do so, we need to add this callback section to our config. So I guess that's going to be underneath providers, or would it be together with providers? I think it's going to be underneath providers. So the session then can get an access token. Callback session token user. Send properties to the client like an access token from a provider. So token and session and account. Let's see. When using JSON Web Tokens, callbacks invoked before the session callbacks. Anything you add to the JSON Web Token will be immediately available in the session callback, like, for example, access token from provider. This session object is not persisted server-side. No, we wouldn't want to do that. So let's see what we get back here. So we do have the session token user, but they're not using the user. And in my... But callbacks async session. Because I think I want to do something there. I want to do something on because that's a session callback. I want to do something on the JWT callback. So whenever JSON Web Token is created, see, this is the one we want. We want the JWT callback. Yes.
Just like Mike was talking about back in the day.
Yes.
Security.
So here it says persist the OAuth access token to the token right after sign-in. So there's an account, and if so, we set the token access token to be the account access token. And I think, and this is OAuth 2.0 kind of specifications. So I think for any provider that uses the 2.0, you would always find the access token there on kind of account.access token. And I think at least it works in this case. Okay, so I've set up a developer account and I've set up my rights so that the only thing that these tokens in this example are allowed to do is read data. So even if you kind of snap up my access token right now, you can't mess with my account, just so that's just so you know that. because we then want to see what we get back on session when we're over here. Let's write out the session so that we can have a little bit of a look at what kind of information we are actually now have on the session that we can use. If this works as we hope now. So let's go and clear our application storage here so that nothing is left, and also in our session storage, I guess. Okay. So we're going to try again. We go to app. Yes, this app can view, stay connected to your account until you revoke access, authorize. And then we're back here. We are Directorate. And let's see if we now hit the test. I'm also wondering if we can see it here in our session data, if we have a session console object. So we only write out the user there, but let's write out the full session and let's see if we can see more information. So session. So, okay, so we have expires and then we have users. So we can't see it here when we're just in our front end. Let's see if we can find it in our back end. So let's do API test. This is protected content. Let's see what's written out. So now we have session, user, name, expires. So we can't see that token, can we? Oh, so on the other end, we have to do some more stuff. We can't just get that token because what we're asking for is the session, but what we actually have that information on is the, oh boy. Here, we're putting it on the token. We're not putting it on the session. We're putting it on the token. So we then need to grab the token to be able to see it. So let's do that in our test. We can then do const token. There should be a get token. Get token. And that should be sent in. It should get the request. It gets the request, and then it probably does things with the cookie and all that kind of hard part that, we don't have to think about when we're using NextAuth. So let's try again. And that's in a promise, so we need to await it. Did you see that? So this is a common error. See, token is a promise. That's because we forgot to await it. So we're just getting the promise and not the actual awaited. So if you see that, if you're expecting a value and you're seeing like a promise, that means that you forgot to await it. Okay,
I've done that several times.
Look at this. Now we have a session, but we also have a token, and there is an access token.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And if I remember correctly, if we hadn't added that, if we hadn't added this token, access token, account access token, we wouldn't have had that information on the token, and we wouldn't have been able, because the account, we only have access to this account information that is sent into the JWT. We only have access to that on the when it comes back from Twitter and it grabs that information. And then we need to say that we actually want to persist this on the token. And that's how we then can use that token to do things on behalf of the user later on. Whew, we're done. Did anybody get that? I need to.
We're done. We're done. Yeah.
We're done.
That's good. I have a message from Inesa.
Yeah.
I asked and he says, yes, I'm working on a lot of cool things, but I can't talk about them.
Well, that sounds cool.
I will be able to share soon once it's available to the public. Yeah. And I asked, when is that? And he says, it will depend on how long it takes to be reviewed by a certain company, which I cannot be named. The company that shall not be named, just like in Harry Potter. He that shall not be named. The company is Voldemort. The company
That's
which I
cool.
cannot name because it will reveal what we're working on. Yeah.
So what I'm wondering is if can we get this on the front end side too? So because I saw that in the token thing, we have, we have actually the name, we have the picture. We still
But I
don't
think
have
I
my
know what he's
username though.
working on. I can make a guess.
Don't guess. If
Oh,
it says it's secret, it's secret.
he's working on Gatsby V5.
Ooh, maybe.
Because that's secret
That is
and
secret.
maybe coming soon.
Maybe it's coming soon. That's true.
Have you seen any changes in that GitHub thing that Vart has made? Or
No, I haven't.
I kind of
haven't.
feel that he just did something there that because he's really into those rehydration things. So I think he just did his rehydration thing, whereas the real V5 is hidden somewhere secret.
Yeah, that might.
I was right. I was right. Okay, for those who doesn't get it, I'm just kidding. But we are looking forward to seeing what Inessa is working on over there in Canada.
We absolutely are. Did I get access to that on this side? I probably
Men,
Oh, wait. Wait. Get token. Get token.
Lillian says that she's making a necklace for her teacher.
That's cool.
Marte. Oh.
That's nice of her.
Holy moly.
Holy
Did you hear that?
moly.
Did you hear it? Okay. Inessa says,
Whoa. This is
He's
getting
coming
better
this-
and better.
it's coming this October, and he can share that it will be part of NASA, or do you say NASA? Is it NASA? NASA? NASA Space Apps in Ottawa.
Of course, we can't
Oh.
get the token because we don't have a request. I'm getting tired. I'm just messing with things now.
You don't have to finish it. It's okay.
Well, it is finished, kind of, because
What are you doing then?
I'm just playing. I am just playing. Well, it's not completely done because I don't have my username. I want my freaking username.
So that's it? That's why? Okay.
That's why. So maybe I can, let's see. Maybe
But what are you
that's
going to
when
use it for? So that you get in there in the text? Is that why?
Yes. So I get it there in the text. Maybe I can put it on the session callback. It's called whenever a session is checked. By default, only a subset of the token is returned for increased security. Oh, yeah. So we're setting things on the token, but then to make sure that it's available in the session, we need to grab it from the token. Ba-di-ba. If you want to make sure something available, you add it to the token through the JVT, which we did callback. And then you have to explicitly forward it here to make it available to the client. So let's see here now. So when we do our JVT callback, we have the token and the account. Let's write out this account and see if we actually have the username. Because if we don't have the username at any point, then
you know what?
I'm
gonna make a plug later.
Okay. Could probably plug now because I just got it. Now finally it clicked in my head, everyone. So if this wasn't 100% clear to you, that's okay because it kind of just happened for me. So we're
Okay.
authorizing this app. Okay, so provider, look at that. Scope. Oh my God, refresh. Oh, that's a refresh token. Hello. I'm gonna kill that whole application after this show. So don't go messing with my thing. Okay, let's see. It's a refresh token, but it only has read access, so that's fine. Provider account. I'm just looking at this. Oh, the scope is just okay. It's fine. You can all have a look at it. Yeah, because the scope is read, and then offline access. So that's fine. So even if you refreshed it, that's fine. But we don't get information about kind of my username. So that's not on the account. And then we have the token that we figured out does not have the username.
I'll do
How
it now
can I
then.
get the username? Yeah,
I'll do it now.
plug.
Okay. This is my plug for you, Inessa. You should check out this movie here. Iron Sky. Iron Sky. It's Iron Sky.
Oh my God, that was a fun movie.
Yeah, it's totally indie. It's indie. They just got people to send them money, and they made this movie. It's some Finnish guys. It's called Energy Studio or something. They're crazy. So the story is that there's a new president in the United States, and she decides to send people to the moon to become more popular. And then they go to the moon and they find the moon Nazis on the dark side of the moon. Don't spoil
They've
it.
hidden since the Second World War. It's
Well,
a
this
lot
is the
of
start
fun.
of the movie. This is the start of the movie. And then
Things go down.
stuff starts happening. But it's totally relevant to NASA space apps. Totally. Yeah. So you should check it out. It's from 2012, but yeah. And the reason why I remembered it is that I was thinking about maybe showing it to Lillian. She's 7. And I started looking at the trailer with
Which
her.
is the worst idea I've ever heard.
I looked at the trailer with her, and I put my I have these noise canceling earphones. I put it on her, and she was looking at the iPad. And luckily, I just removed the iPad just when people were getting whacked up on the moon and shot and everything. Yeah. And then I said, "You can't see it because it's too scary." And she was like, "No, it wasn't scary at all," because she hadn't seen the bad stuff. But it's great. Yeah. Iron Sky, everybody, check it out. 2012. Yeah.
you sometimes I'm like, what? How did you?
Why did
How
I
did
show it to Lillian? You think I should have watched the trailer first? Yeah, probably.
No, like, how could you remember that movie as something that is viewable by her?
Yes, you should watch it. You should watch it. And don't you have like little brothers and stuff back home? Yeah, you should watch it first though. To check out if they can handle it. Maybe they can. Yeah. Yeah, because it's NASA, it's the whole thing. That's what John F. K. did. He said, "Yeah, we're gonna send people to the moon," and everybody loved him. Yeah. Yeah, and he
Oh
did
boy,
send.
boy, this is just getting worse and worse. Okay.
And he did send people to the moon, even though some people say they didn't actually go to the moon. They just were in a movie studio in Hollywood the whole time.
Well, obviously, because otherwise they would have found the Nazis on
The
the dark side of
Nazis,
the moon the last
yeah.
time they were there. So.
But did they actually walk around there on the moon though when they were there, like Louis Armstrong and the?
I guess
Maybe
they didn't. I don't
It
know if they
wasn't
walked to
Louis
the dark side of the
Armstrong.
moon.
Louis Armstrong is a jazz dude. It was Neil Armstrong. Yeah. Yeah. Did they walk
Way over
around?
time now.
They were just walking around their little shuttle. They never walked around there, did they?
No, that they maybe they didn't.
They didn't go to the dark side of the moon, did they? Okay, so are we done or?
I guess I have to figure out how to get the username at some other time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not sent with any of the information. So I think what I need to do, because I have the I'm gonna show you.
Yeah.
So I do have the access token, and then I
Ooh.
have the sub, which is the user ID on Twitter. So I can use this access token then to grab the information about the user if I wanted the username instead of the name.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah. But it's a little annoying that they don't. But it's probably because of the OAuth 2.0 specification. You're probably supposed to send in like a name and a picture, or maybe this is Twitter specific. I'm not 100% sure, but in the Superbase thing, I got the username as well. So here we get the name and the picture, and not the
You
username.
want your @Raae?
Yes, I want to have like, let's prune your follows @Raae.
I see.
Yeah. Well, it's not that important, but it would be a cool next step as how to use that access token to actually get some information.
Maybe. Yeah, I see.
So,
but okay, I will read Inessa's message. No, I clicked the wrong one. Sorry. It's here. This is the right one.
Yeah.
I visited the Space Museum a few weeks ago in Ottawa. That's where he is, isn't it? Ottawa, that's right by the big lakes, the big American lakes. It was super cool. Yeah, I guess it was. I should check it out.
You should.
Ottawa Space Museum.
So here you can see 900 requests per minute, 15 minutes, and stuff like that.
Aviation.
So we have users read, so we can then read somebody's. Look at me go. How
you
do
get
I
that?
authenticate?
Oh, that was on the Twitter thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just remove you and show it?
Oh yeah, sure.
No, that's not what I wanted. It changed. Stupid internet. Here it is. Look at this. Canada Aviation. No, don't do that. Don't do that. I want this. Huh? I think this would be great for Lillian.
Absolutely.
Canada in space. Wow, is this a kind of space? I tried to click on it. Oh, sorry about this. This is bad. I don't know what I'm doing. Canada in space. Look, they got a little guy here. He's in space. You see that little guy? It's very small. What is this?
I love that video now.
The Death Star! I didn't know that came from Canada.
Well, Paul was gonna create a little meetup, wasn't he? Where we were all gonna wear his matching velour purple Gatsby sweatsuits.
Yes. Are they purple or pink?
I think they're purple.
Well, I think he said that he was going to do it in New York.
Oh.
Wasn't he?
Yeah, that's what he said.
The Paul Conf. I think that's what he said.
Okay, now I'm just off. Now I don't want to quit. As long as people are hanging out, I'm like, let's keep on doing this.
Let's see.
Let's do it.
Visas, yeah, that's right. The visa thing. What did we do when we were in the States? We could just go with our student visas, couldn't we?
The Norwegian passport is pretty nice to have when it comes to visiting countries. Yeah, we're allowed.
It was very easy. Yeah, that's true. We just went over.
Yes.
Yeah, visas. Yeah, that's a bad problem. Yeah, it would probably be easier for Paul to go to Canada, don't you think?
Yes.
Those corporate dudes over at Gatsby, they should pay the ticket and Pauls would fly over and have a meetup there, and we can
Absolutely.
join online, with some of these new fancy tools we have now, and everybody can wear their velour tracksuits. So where is it, John?
This is just getting better and better.
Yeah. But where is it John lives now? He moved to this new place, but that's also Canada.
I don't know.
Gatsby, Canada. Yeah, you should totally have a Gatsby meetup. Why not? Why not? Eric Hovey, does he live in Canada, or is that like Washington?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel that this is something for Paul. Paul likes to travel, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he should go up there, pack his bag and his tracksuit, go up there.
I'm trying to figure out how to get information about one user.
But you know what? I think I went to Ottawa, actually. I think we went to Ottawa. We went to this disco. And this one, we were a crew of Norwegian dudes there. And this one Norwegian dude, he was really big, and he was from the south part of Norway, where people are a little bit relaxed. But he got super drunk. And then we were like, come on. I don't remember his name, but let's call him Peter. I was like, come on, Peter. We're taking a taxi back home. And he was like, no, I'm so drunk now. I'm going to walk it off. And we were like, no, dude, you're not going to walk it off here. You've never been here before. You don't know the way. And he was like, yeah, I'll find a way. And we couldn't bring him. So he just walked. And then we were standing outside our hotel pretty long talking. And then suddenly he showed up. And he was like, hello, guys. And we were like, Peter, how did you get here? I mean, how did you find a way? Well, I just saw these two nice ladies and I just followed them here. And we were like, you mean those ladies over there? And there were two prostitutes standing right across the street. And he was like,
oh, yeah. I'm going to cut you off soon.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what happens when I just could let you keep on talking.
Yeah, no. It's totally within my purviews as a pirate to tell stories about, it's a story from Ottawa.
Let's stop there. there.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, Gatsby Canada, Paul. Paul's not here though, but we will have to. He knows.
I think Paul is pretty tired. He had a webinar earlier today.
Oh, I forgot to watch it. No.
We were prepping and making food, and
I was cooking dinner for the Pirate Princess. That's true. That's what I did.
I got it.
Yes,
I got it. Everybody, boo, 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 boo.
Okay. So then I'm gonna share your screen then.
Yes, please. Okay. So I'm using the Twitter API SDK, which is very poorly documented, but because it's a work in process. But now inside of my test function, I create a new Twitter client with the access token that we set on the token. And then I await Twitter user, find my user, and then I console log that. And look at that. Username Raae.
Yep.
So
that's what you wanted. It's
what
right
I'm
there now.
kind of thinking is that I could probably put that into the config. So let's try that. So let's try the client in here, and then on the session call, not on the session. Yes, on the session callback. I'm going to set this on the session, I think. I can then do content a new client, and then me, and then on the session, I could set session maybe on the user. No, let's try session username. Username equals me, username.
Yarg.
This is an async function, so I should be able to await that. Or maybe I want to do it on the JW. No, because on the JWT, I only have access to the token, not the session. But this only happens once. Okay, let's see if this works. And then I can figure out where it should be. So if we log out, and then we log in again. Authorize app. Am I no longer writing out the session? So did I clean up my console logs? What's up with me? Don't clean up your console logs. We want to console log everything in the world and more. Okay, so let's check our session now. User. User. No.
No.
But why?
I don't know.
Why? That was a fun thing to try, though.
Yes.
Session username, then send the session back. Let's have a look at these callbacks. Session callback, session access token. Boom, put it on the session. Send properties to the client, token, access token. Isn't this what I'm doing? Me, await, me username. Or is that not how it was structured? Let's go and have a look again. Test me. Oh, so it's data. So it's me and then it's so it's data. So if we go back here, it should be me. This should have data because that's how it's returned. So the result is returned with the data. And then it should be, let's call that me instead. Okay. Now maybe it works. Now I'm happy you're still here, everyone. We are over the hour. This is so much fun. Do you think it's fun, Ola? Are we gone too long?
Yes, we've gone too long.
I appreciate your honesty. Let's see. Is it there? Oh, look at that username on the session.
Yes.
Got it done. Maybe we can even put it on that user. But let's not do that now. Let's just grab it and put it into the code. So that was on our hero. My hero. So let's see. Session. Username. Not using that. Follows. Let's prune your follows. We can put back the at. Look at that. Ooh. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Who's happy? I'm happy. Who's happy? I'm happy. Okay. So, should we do a summary?
Yes.
So we still need a database at some point, because even with these access tokens, private access tokens, I don't want to be calling. I don't want to, every time somebody is in this app, I don't want to be calling for all their followers each time somebody kind of refreshes their browser window. So I want it to kick off a background job that kind of imports all of their followers so that we can fetch them and display them from a database. But we could make this now so everything just happens in the browser and with no database, where the browser calls a serverless function and then the serverless function calls Twitter straight away, and we just display that information. But we'll probably hit the rate limit pretty soon even if we have people's private access or their private access tokens. So at some point, I'm going to then refactor this application so that we use NextAuth for the authentication and getting the access token. And then we're going to kick off some background processes that use these access tokens, because there are a lot. The access tokens work for about 2 hours, I think. So we can kick off some background tokens that will some background jobs that will fetch all of these followers for people, and then they can start working on it. But I'm going to see the best way to do this in a way where it's cheap for me to run. Because what's nice about not having to have a database anywhere is that I don't have to pay for any, storage. So I might make this app first off so that everything just happens from the browser through serverless functions directly through Twitter, and there's no database, and then add back a database layer. Because that can be a fun challenge to make that kind of work. And I'll just have to tell the user that, hey, you're over your limit, like come back in 15 minutes, because then you are allowed to do stuff again. But let's refactor, or let's summarize our code.
Let's summarize this. Let's summarize it. Very good.
Very good.
I like it.
Very good.
Very good.
We are so tired now.
Yes, I am actually.
Yes, I am.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so we installed Yarn.
Yes.
And then we made sure that we were on version 18 after a long problematic road. But yeah, so be on version 18. And then we followed kind of these instructions, except that we did some differences for Gatsby. So instead of putting this in Pages API auth, we put it in our source API auth, because that's where we put serverless functions in Gatsby. And then that will catch everything that comes to sign in, callback, and sign out, so then NextAuth can do its magic. Then we refactored all of our front-end code that was accessing the logged-in user, and we refactored that to use session instead of fetching the user from the Supabase SDK. From the Supabase session, we are now getting the user from the NextAuth session. And then we even managed to use that session in our backend code, so that when a user is logged in, it will get the information that they can actually access this content, and if they're not, they're not. So we did that by creating a test serverless function, and we did this first. But then we figured out how to, it was right under there. I Googled, or I searched for it, but right under the backend API route is where you get the information about how you can get access to somebody's personal access token when you're using these OAuth 2.0 providers like we are doing. So we have configured our application to use Twitter, and we're saying that we want the version 2.0. And then we say that we actually want to persist the access token on not on the session, but on the token. So when somebody is logged in and they call one of our backend function or one of our serverless functions, we can then call for the the get token, and we will get that access token. And then we finally managed to then use that token to get some more information about the user, like the username. But so as soon as we have this access token, we can start calling off to the Twitter API as if we are the logged in person. And at no point do we, as the developer, get access to these tokens, because it's all in the session cookie, I think. So I could probably save these to a database, but I should not save this to a database. They should just live in the session cookie and die with the session. So we did all of this. Add an API route. We refactor our front end. We made a test for our backend because we haven't actually refactored the prune your followers backend. And then we also made sure that we had got that access token, which was the whole reason for going from Superbase authentication to NextAuth authentication. Also, just because it seems more not reliable, I would say more future-proof, because this is an open source project. It doesn't use any backends or anything. It's just dependent on Twitter, which we are dependent on in this application. While if we start, using services that are paid and stuff like that for tiny side projects, that can get annoying fast. So yeah.
Yes.
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 Very good.
That's good. Very good.
Very good. So,
Very good.
Skal jeg få deg i Lilian?
Yes. And next
Lilian,
week.
Nei.
Next week, yes. I want to know.
Next week we are going to be working on a Drupal.
Yes, we have a
plugin
guest next week.
Made by I'm guessing Jesus Manuel Olivas. So we are going to be working on his Drupal Gatsby plugin and making sure that he gets support for both downloading image locally and support for the Gatsby image CDN, I think is what we're going to be working on.
Okay. Bum, 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 bum,
Hvorfor skifta det sånn?
bum, 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 bum. Og så må du huske å holde den opp.
Nei.
I think she's a shark who got down under the.
Nei.
What was the name of the guest again? Jesus?
Jesus.
Jesus.
In Norwegian. Jesus.
Jesus. His name is Jesus something. It's something.
Manuel.
Okay. Okay, Lilian. 1, 2.
Urettferdig.
Okay,
Okay. More people than Ola and I are tired today.
Desperate hunt with plugging Queen Raae. Next week's guest is Jesus. We're junior devs, Lilian and Ola.